All right, everyone, welcome back to the Paladins World Championship. As we move on in the bracket, the matches are only going to get better. I am Golden Boy, host of the Alienware Analyst, that's joined by Meta Pusher and Goremizer. And boy, do we have a treat for you as Virtus.Pro will take on Ninjas in Pyjamas NIP. What is surely going to be a brawl for all. I cannot wait, guys. This game has everything we could possibly want. Teams who came into this matchup not dropping a game, lots of confidence on both sides of the stage. We have no idea who will win this. It's anyone's ball game at this point, Meta.
I'm super excited. We're seeing two European juggernauts. I mean, two of the most storied organizations in European esports history, and I'm excited to be back in the winners bracket. Those loser bracket matches were super exciting with, elimination on the line, but I'm really excited to see this top tier play.
I mean, this is Virtus.Pro, the team that has been on the rise, the team that was 4th seed going into the fall finals for the BPL and has managed to change up the way the game is played for not only them, but their region, the world at this point. Everyone wants to be able to emulate the strategies that they are able to bring. Versus NIP, every single one of these players was in the finals last year. This is a veteran team.
A great squad indeed. Let's go ahead and take a look at the schedule here and see what we have in store for us, as Ninjas in Pyjamas will take on Virtus.Pro. Also at the bottom of that bracket in the lower portion, Nocturnes Gaming versus Kanga. That will be tomorrow. So the loser of this game will face off against the winner of the next game of match 8, as you see laid out for you there. And Kanga, I mean, I'm sure they would love to be able to get revenge. I believe it was on Virtus.Pro.
NIP.
NIP.
Yeah.
And then Nocturnes definitely wants to get revenge because I believe they played Virtus.Pro, and that's when they ended up losing to that triple support composition, which I'm sure they just were not expecting. So whenever we get a moment, we can go ahead and bring up the profiles here for Virtus.Pro, our first team, and kind of run through this real fast. We have eLvenpath, we have Sizze. This guy came in as a substitute last minute. Also, we have CogCog, isbittenner, one of the best players in the world, and Sephicloud. What was it about that triple support composition that just threw off their opponents?
For me, it's just the room for error that you have. There's so many mistakes that you're allowed to make, and you can still win point fights. When you have a Terminus and a bunch of supports, he can get out of position and he can still be healed back up. He could even die and then reanimate, and then you have to try to do it again.
Do you think that this is a matter of they ran that against Nocturnes because they knew they could? Do you think you're going to see this against NIP, Gore?
I think that was the testing grounds. In this matchup, I expect they will try it. I think it's going to come out. If it doesn't work here, I'm sure they have something else in their pocket. This is a team that comes in with like 5 different strategies, ready to be able to change it up. If you figure out the way to beat them in one method, they are going to throw another one at you that's going to keep you out of the loop. You're going to have to keep on your toes, and this is where like adaptability is the key. You have to be able to change up on the point in your draft and on the point in your match.
I definitely expect VP to run that on map 1. It's their choice. They are the #1 seed coming into this, so they're going to have first map choice. I expect them to pick, a small map like Bright Marsh or Jaguar Falls, where that triple support double tank we can really shine. And they kind of say to NIP, beat us. Show me you can beat it.
Well, speaking of NIP, on the other side of the stage, let's look at the squad. NIP, the Ninjas in Pyjamas. You got Bird, Laizy, bonkar, Shipa, and one of my favorite players, PERDO, who PERDO has had some standout performances, although he, while he was playing really well yesterday, it wasn't similar to what we saw with the Androxus that was just kind of lighting us all up and making us so excited. If you had to summarize what makes this NIP team so strong, what is it, Gore?
I mean, just look at the veteranship. Again, they have 3 defending world champions. 2 of the other members, the ones that aren't defending world champions, were beat by the 3 defending world champions. They're coming back as finalists, ready to continue going. They have been in the scene for a long time, so there's partially the fact that they are just strong players, and the fact that they've been around a while. Metas that changed, that were once in the game, that are now coming back, they know how to adapt to it. We've seen things where Tyra can come out in certain scenarios. That was where triple tank kind of came through, and that helped break down another meta, and it's just something that these players, since they've been around so long, know what to do when they see that.
For me, it's the strong, steady leadership of Bird. He's been this consistent rock. I keep saying that for different teams, but that's really what Bird is. He's just the completely reliable support.
The Bird is the word.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, he's the one. Really feel like he's the brains behind this team. I know him and Bonkar spend a lot of time theory crafting and running through lots of different options and stuff the night before. So, I mean, I really expect him to be fully prepared for VP.
Yeah, but think about this though. You talk about theory crafting, and then VP, I mean, they're the theory, and they make the craft happen. So that's the scary part here. Let's take a look at the bans, though, and see what these teams have chosen to remove from the rotation. Virtus.Pro will say bye-bye to the Timber Mill, and NIP will ban Brightmarsh. And you mentioned Brightmarsh before because of the triple support, being able to have that kind of small space to work with there. So it seems like they're thinking one step ahead.
And this is definitely another good elimination because it doesn't work as well on some of the other smaller maps just because Brightmarsh, it's closed off. Your supports have a place to retreat to. They can stay safe. You go to Frog Isle, it's smaller, but you're out in the open every step of the way. You have to sit too far back, and you can't get as aggressive as VP has wanted to these last few matches.
First map's going to be Stone Keep here.
Yeah.
Meta,
and
how do you feel about that?
I mean, I like it. This is a larger map than, like Brightmarsh or Jag that I mentioned earlier, but we saw them still run it. They got on this big map, and they were still sticking with their guns. There's a lot of small, it's a big map, but there's a lot of small spaces around the point.
That's
you
true.
could go into church, you could go fight in that 3-story area, but there's closed off. There's walls around you where you're not going to have to worry about somebody raining in shots from a mile away.
Yeah, and even when you think about how the fights will kind of progress onto the point there, that alleyway, that street is narrow. It's not the widest street. So while granted you will have that range where you could probably get sniping play, right? Like Rovers or Shalins or something like that. I will be excited to see them take out that triple support just because of that confidence that VP has. But here we go, folks. It's time. This is a big matchup. It's Virtus.Pro, NIP. Time to start the Champions Draft.
There's so much that can work on Stone Keep, that Virtus, there's so much way they can have. I mean, we've been seeing a lot of Bomb King, a lot of Buck. I don't mind either of those kind of coming through. The fact that neither of them were banned actually kind of surprises me, but the way Makoa's been, the way Torvald's been, they're high impact.
And Virtus.Pro is going to start off with the Genos right here. Let's see if NIP picks up a Maldamba early. We saw Nocturnes leave the Maldamba open, and Virtus.Pro took it immediately in their second round. But Nip's going to go with the Ruckus right there. I expect that to be a highly contested pick throughout the set. Both multiple players on NIP and Sephicloud are both some of the best Ruckuses in the world, and it does a lot for either team.
We've ventured back to the realm of the first pick Genos.
That's right. I thought it was only in console. No, it's here too.
Yeah, I mean, I really like the Ruckus Fern picks up right there. With 2 tanks banned, the amount of tanks that are really good and very strong are sort of limited, and so NIP picking up those 2 very strong tanks early puts them in a good position.
Oh, there you go.
Whoa, 3 supports in the first 3 picks.
The first 3 picks they get, they go for their triple support. I'm kind of curious if this is going to lead, NIP, we've always been talking for the last few days, Fernando, Talus, as well as Sky even, just having the 80% healing reduction, being able to get that early on is really, really important. I wonder if NIP really want to kind of run for that. And they already have the Fernando, so they're off to a good start.
Yeah, and they're going to go with the Buck Saris. Saris is just the best option once Maldamba and Genos are off the board. I like that. She brings a lot of CC, a lot of single target healing, which could really help keep a Ruckus, a Fernando, or a Buck alive. I mean, if a Buck has that Restore Souls on him, he's pretty much unkillable.
And there you see it. The only team to take it out in the PC side of things, Terminus, makes his way onto the draft, and Barrick.
Wow.
Barrick as well.
We saw them go for this once their other tanks have been taken away. Fernando and Ruckus already being on the side of NIP is solid, and it looks like they're going to finish off their draft with the Grok. So we're seeing pretty similar compositions here. 2 tanks, 2 supports, and 1, sort of offensive, self-sustaining. I kind of put Buck and Pip in the same realm.
I am really happy to see the Grok at the end there. It's 2 times that Grok is going to be great, and it's going to be up against Inara and Barrick, being able to bounce that shock pulse wherever you want. So I expect a lot of damage out of him.
Who do you have winning? Quick.
VP.
NIP.
NIP. We got a split desk here, baby. I love it. Let's go ahead and send it over to our casters. It's game time, and let's go ahead and jump right into it.
We are ready to get things started here. It is myself, Hi-Rez Box, and Hi-Rez Pretty Hair on the mics to kick this thing off today, and I am so excited. This is my most anticipated matchup. As the European representative here on the commentary team, These are my crew.
These
are my boys. We're fighting for it.
It's the big
I am
matchup.
ready.
Who you got?
After that draft, honestly, I was surprised that Virtus.Pro didn't just like straight up take all supports at this point. Like, where's the Grove, where's the Ceres?
They
I'm
may
gonna steal
have.
everything away. But no, I've got ninjas for this one.
I actually do too. I
Yeah.
really like their draft so far, what they got going for them. What I want to see more than anything is actually just Totemic Ward Grok, because there is a lot of CC, the Evil Mojo, you're looking at the Void Grips,
I
you're
don't
looking
think
at
you
the
can
slows,
do it though,
looking
because
at,
look at the barrack turrets. You've got so much bounce potential, and it's Laizy playing Grok, which means that Laizy has their eyes on only one thing: top damage.
It is top
Maybe
damage,
the
top
odd ult.
frags. It is a very stylistic choice, and it's not something that NIP or anyone really in Europe, for that matter, tend to roll for. But here we go, ladies and gents. Game 1. Big marquee matchup here. Two big European teams.
High ground control. Unsurprisingly, goes to the Fernando this time around, just because the fireball can disrupt so much. Virtus.Pro go for a slight flank there, and to be frank with you, I'm surprised that Ninjas are getting so much ground, but is this a bait and switch? Terminus is on the objective. Virtus.Pro have got 50% already. Nobody's contesting, but now eLvenpath is in a lot of trouble.
They forced his team away from him. eLvenpath plays nothing but the point. He will be first blooded, and I think very well orchestrated and tactical, patient play to be able to have kind of the gall to let eLvenpath just stand there and garner 51%.
Right, Terminus is such a damage sponge that you're going to be overrun if you end up just pumping damage into them early. Clear the area first, make some spaces. Ninjas in Pyjamas game, but with bonkar falling, there might be a way back in.
Looking for some damage here, Laizy. PERDO falling back, trying to take as much of eLvenpath's HP as they can. 93% for Ninjas in Pyjamas, trying to touch.
Oh, there's the
just
pip,
barely.
but Buckwild shotgun comes through as well. eLvenpath trying to contest through time and space, lands, but onto nobody, and it is clean up for Ninjas in Pyjamas here. Overtime is ticking,
PERDO.
and IP should take the first one.
Big old headshots all around for you and you and you. NIP, black and beige taking the first point. They'll head off on their offense. Virtus.Pro, no ultimates up and available for them. They used just one through time and space. And we know, Bittner's gonna maybe contending for that top damage spot. He's already charged his first ultimate, used it, and is now looking for his second.
Up on the high ground, Ninjas in Pyjamas looking to engage. Laizy keeps everybody topped off with the Tempest. Strange utilization, but if eLvenpath falls here, Sephicloud on the barracks, so used to seeing Elven there, would be a big boon to NIP, but no. That pip healing potion coming through with the Mega Potion Legendary tops you off so well early game before Cauterize comes online.
A couple of great options for the Shock Pulse here. Nice fadeaway shield as Shipa will backpedal off to the distance. Laizy falls, picked out outside of the pack, not where he wanted to be. bonkar will give up his positioning as well. PERDO answers, finds one on the backside, and disengages cleanly.
It's a good amount of interesting and early game push from NIP on this payload so far. 1 minute and 30 seconds remains. They're trying to break the base, but a little bit of chip poke from PERDO. Maybe the odd fireball here. Elven's brought very low. This could be an execution. The Flame Lance comes out. The heal from Pip is there. Buckwild activated by PERDO again. The shotgun is swinging Exafire too. And IP makes space, but will it be enough?
Traditionally, they will save their ultimates here. Virtus.Pro are not scared to go down 2-0. And if this payload reaches its destinations, that is exactly what we will see. However, Ninjas in Pyjamas, not the same story. They are using their ultimates. They are looking for the win.
Momentum is the name of the game here. eLvenpath has respawned, but will go to the high ground. Might be shut down, barely contesting. There's the kill. NIP pushed successfully 2-0 in 3 minutes and 50.
But I can't stress enough, Virtus.Pro, they're not worried about this. They go down, and they did go down 2-0 a lot. These guys had a great set during the PWC qualifier. That one went all 7 games. And frankly, I don't expect anything less here now, but Virtus.Pro, the way they use their ultimates, they're not going to expend them for these defenses. They're cool to go down 2-0. You could see they saved all 5, whereas Ninjas in Pyjamas, they don't have any except that Immortal.
And down 2 points, Virtus.Pro have capture boost as well. One big team fight win, and VP could get the entire objective before NIP can come back to contest, especially if they're staggered. And there's no better tool to be able to stagger your enemies than the kill potential that support ultimates such as Through Time and Space, Evil Mojo, and Dread Serpent provide.
So they didn't grab the Totemic Ward to get the CC immunity, but what they did pick up was 4 resiliences. This is a blue defense item that will reduce the CC duration when you are hit by those hard crowd controls. 39% for Virtus.Pro right out of the gate.
Wombo combos start to come through. through. There's the Dread Serpent as well. Virtus.Pro are using a lot of their ultimates, but they're not finding kills. Shipa already has one. Bird contest the objective as Virtus.Pro have got 62% already, and you've got to remember that eLvenpath has that second life now, thanks to Reanimate, and he could be using it here as Elven is getting brought very, very low.
Great job contesting, and Bird knowing exactly how to do it, and eLvenpath will hit the trigger. He will reanimate. Terminus has returned from the dead, and he's looking for blood.
But finds no kills. bonkar picks up one. isbittenner does answer back, but NIP are in control. eLvenpath, though, finds coming up in their shield. Shipa tries to break through it with Shadowfall, but Shipa is back on a full health thanks to that Grok Totem. Will be re-engaging shortly.
eLvenpath using all of his available power siphon juice. He will be converged onto the point. Sephicloud baited in as well. Double kill for PERDO.
And PERDO swinging away with that massive shotgun in hand as Buck. This is the champion that he moved to from Androxus. This is the champion that we know PERDO for at this point. And as they go savage, a 9-kill streak, 18 elimination streak, pushing into the base of Virtus.Pro. Ninjas in Pyjamas capture the second objective of this game, go up 3-0.
This is Ninjas in Pyjamas just being so clinical. They knew exactly what they would be facing here. They look extremely prepared, and they're playing it perfectly. Even with the comeback mechanic, albeit it was closer, it was a bit of a scarier contest from Virtus.Pro. They took their time. They played the game they needed to know, which is the slow game. They have to take it slow. They have to disjoint. They have to disconnect eLvenpath from the rest of his team, take them down, and then maybe catch Elven out.
So far, so good. Again, high ground control coming through from NIP. Here's Buck Wild. Sephicloud being brought low is chunked through by PERDO. Engagement comes through. Another double for the Buck. Unyielding, they certainly are. 20 streak and turns their attention towards eLvenpath, who gets shoot through and sent back to base by bonkar. 1 minute 40 left in the clock.
Fox, this is going to be close, and we know Virtus.Pro like to hold their ultimates in these defensive situations, but they just can't. The game is on the line. If this payload reaches its end destination, the game will end.
And there's your answer. Down goes Dome Shield. Blocks a lot of the Hexafire. Good work there so far, but Dread Serpent is not enough. Sizze gets shoot through. eLvenpath takes down bonkar in response, but no, the shotgun just keeps on chunking. The headshots come through. Sephicloud surely to fall here to Bird, and they do indeed. And PERDO is still alive.
eLvenpath will resurrect here once more. Terminus returns from the dead. isbittenner juggling around, trying to wiggle back and forth into spawn. eLvenpath buying so much time, but Vox, there is still a minute left.
And eLvenpath has fallen. The supports must contest. All of Ninjas in Pyjamas are here. They're alive and they're ready for this.
There, we're starting to frag out, pulling it back, but once again, it seems the tables turn. Ninjas in Pyjamas slamming home for a 4-0 victory.
What a way to start off this set. That was unexpected based off prior land performance. To be so clean, so clinical, as you said. NIP are looking on top form here at LAN a Day, the Paladins World Championships, and that's something which they'll be looking to continue in the games coming up.
Fox, what I want to talk about here is Virtus.Pro. They set the meta at the PWC qualifiers. They've made adjustments here, sure, but the overall strategy seems the same. Margin for error, big HP pools, a lot of healing, and eLvenpath on the point. Now, let me ask you. You watch these first couple of rounds from Ninjas in Pyjamas, the way that they just move Virtus.Pro away from eLvenpath on the point. Is his stubbornness, is his just resolve to sit nowhere but the point an exploitable, predictable weakness for Ninjas in Pyjamas?
I think for this strategy, yes, Ninjas in Pyjamas, it's like a lock and key. They found the key that opens up the strategy that separates out the team. I don't think that it's a case of, I think it's a case of execution at this point, rather, I should say. As we see this split focus that PERDO is able to create with Buck just draws so much attention away from eLvenpath, and then they collapse on the Terminus. I think it comes down to draft. I think it comes down to execution. I think the Virtus.Pro need to pull out something different from the bag and not try this one again.
15 and what? A goose egg. 0 deaths for PERDO. 1/2 of the Finnish nightmare. Ninjas in Pyjamas,
Washed
a
up,
finalist from last year. eLvenpath seems to think so. An old teammate of his proving him quite wrong. You can see him there on screen. And Ninjas in Pyjamas, such a storied roster. 3 members holding rings from last year's HRX Invitational. One of the most famous, Kevin Laizy Jensen on stage now. Ninjas in Pyjamas looking poised. Drafts, I think, are going to be damn near perfect from these two all across this set. It is absolutely coming down to in-game execution.
And that'll be tough. I mean, look at the difference between these two teams. Considering that NIP took the win, the damage numbers aren't too different. 62k spread across 5 members isn't a great deal. Healing was exceeded by Virtus.Pro, which is unsurprising, but really the stats that matter are, again, comes down to the assists.
Look at the death, 69 assists. Shout outs to the old team D69 up there, as well as just so many more kills, so much more fragability with this Ninjas in Pyjamas roster. And I have to shout out Bird as well. In that second round when they're down 2-0, you mentioned it, the comeback mechanic allows Virtus.Pro to capture their payload much quicker. But what Bird does is he steps onto the point, he contests eLvenpath. The second he's in danger, he shadow travels. And that little min-max play of preventing capture points coming through for Virtus.Pro 50% faster was instrumental to their success.
Very, very important. Quick throwback to the draft from this game. No Bomb King.
Bomb King.
That's all. How do you feel the Barrack actually worked out, specifically for Virtus.Pro? Because that was the one pick there in their composition, which I didn't feel too comfortable with, being completely honest.
And I think it's just the way that Ninjas in Pyjamas played it. Barrack is not a character that likes to be displaced. He's not a character that likes to move a lot. And we saw one time when Sephicloud was actually able to commit to get to the point, eLvenpath had just died, and that was not good for him. He didn't have any defenses set up. He didn't have any power siphon to cover his turrets, get shields up, any of that. The dome shield had to be used, I think, just once, and it was defensively near the end of the game.
It's just difficult in this situation. Pick composition then for Virtus.Pro. They may not be dictating the pace of the game with their meta anymore, but they can certainly do so with plenty of different opportunities. Now, what do you think is going to be in the tanks left for these guys? We've seen this triple support so far. Not really something which I don't think NIP are too phased by it. They know that they can pick whatever support is left and still do well. Stripping supports away from you isn't really the answer here. So what is?
We haven't seen it yet, and we still saw high prioritization on the Genos, and Bird making it happen. Making it happen on whatever support he is given. Can't stress enough how important it was, the amount of contest he was able to bring on Saris, who does have a really great mobility. If you can call it that, it's mobility. She basically becomes immune. She fades from the battlefield, and she can just contest the point basically for free. One of the few supports that can stand toe-to-toe with Terminus for more than a few seconds.
I think the combo of Saris and Grok specifically really helped out Ninjas in Pyjamas. We saw Laizy very frequently running alongside Shipa on Fernando, using Tempest at times to top Shipa back up to full health when they were engaging on high ground on the payload push specifically, and this allows Saris a lot more freedom to maybe go for a little bit of healing onto Buck, who might be trying to flank, as well as maybe some healing to Ruckus as well.
They were playing the game, right? They're playing that bodyguard style, the 2-2-1, as you would call it, with the main support sitting on the objective. PERDO was left primarily to his own devices. Laizy was looking after either Shipa or bonkar. That was a great first game, a 4-0 from Ninjas in Pyjamas. I don't know if that's what we were expecting. And we will head to Frozen Guard to see if we can wrap this best of 5 up.
Taking it from Stonekeep map with interesting payload push and long sight lines, but verticality to a very flat map, but a lot of similar dimensions. This is a map where Ninjas in Pyjamas have demonstrated Grover to rule previously. Talus is very important for both teams, I think, on this map as well. I'm excited to see what Virtus.Pro have in the tank here, and maybe they'll prioritize the Wombo combo. A lot of true power and through time and space combos came out yesterday, and that might be the kind of, I don't want to say cheese strategy, but just execution move necessary to put a dent in NIP's roster.
More speculation. Into the draft we go. Ninjas in Pyjamas first pick. Waiting on their ban to come through. Torvald and Makoa respectively were the ban's last game so far. It will be the same draft. I would say a little bit more important on Frozen Guard than it is on Stonekeep.
Potentially here. And NIP now, they do still have the first pick. They're looking to dictate the pace of the game again, but the highest priority, not just for them, but to ensure isbittenner doesn't get a hold of that one on the side of Virtus.Pro. We saw a great demonstration during the PPL full finals at exactly how strong they are. Stripping that away is a good move.
And this was very important to them. Maybe a Genos here. That particular combination was extremely valuable for Virtus.Pro. They've prioritized it highly throughout this tournament. This is one of Bittner's favorite new champions, something he didn't have at that qualifier, something I think Ninjas in Pyjamas need to be prepared for. Those two champions alone yesterday were dominating Nocturnes. That was so much for them to handle. It is a ton of DPS, a ton of effective health, and something that Ninjas in Pyjamas are going to have to be careful about how they operate around.
So Talus has been selected. This will be the real answer towards Genos healing and Ruckus as well. Fernando too, so Nip potentially give up Maldamba in this situation. What are your thoughts on giving Virtus.Pro that double sort of top line support again?
It's it's kind of if they want it. I think Grover being as viable as he is on this map, it's not necessarily as big of a deal because you can always run him for spot healing, as well as the fact that we've seen Saris already find success with Ninjas in Pyjamas. This is another factor that was not really in the conversation at the PWC qualifier. It just wasn't played.
Bless up and bow down. Ladies and gentlemen, Grover has come out to play for Virtus.Pro. That's what kind of pick I want to see here, but I'm curious about the Barik again. There's Inara on the field,
Terminus
and you
as
go
well.
for Barik. I wouldn't say Terminus on specifically Frozen Guard is maybe a go-to pick, just because the melee range leaves you like a sitting duck, especially on payload push and defense. But Barik, of all champions, forces NIP into a peculiar spot.
It's the player, man. It's less so about Terminus being viable here, because I agree as well. I don't think he's necessarily the pick, but it's about eLvenpath with Inara and Terminus available, going to Barik, just choosing it for one of the first times this tournament. Rounding out with Damba, Grok, Ninjas in Pyjamas have scooped themselves a nice lineup.
They've got a very similar draft actually to last game, and yet again, second time in a row, Bomb King has been available and not picked up. I think that NIP are really valuing the amount of damage potential and disruption and constant pokes to keep players in combat that you get from this Grok shock pulse onto the Barik turrets. But Virtus.Pro round up their draft with Saris. They're going for triple support again. Saris lightly in the hands of CogCog, and as you said, isbittenner has really taken a liking to Genos, but we've got to see those ults starting to hit home.
Yeah, we got to see maybe a convergence into the through time and space. It is a nasty, nasty wombo combo. I mean, Rainday and I pull it off all the time, but we're freaking nuts. So I don't know if these guys are gonna be able to do it.
Ex-Masters player was that? Or are you sitting about now, Pretty Hair? You gotta get grinding
At Decay,
again.
man, holiday season, you know what it is. Decay's too strong.
All I'm hearing are
Thanks,
excuses.
Garrett.
I do not want to go ahead and look at my Paladins Guru stats right now. I think I'm going to be right down there with you. The grind begins anew after HRX. With these players, the grind is here and now for map number 2 of Frozen Guard. And as we do get ready and head into this game, looking at the drafts, this seems like Ninjas in Pyjamas again are dictating the music. They are writing it all out. The sheets are ready and prepared. This is their tune. And it's up to Virtus.Pro to execute something different.
Loading in now, looking at a couple of these legendaries. Pretty standard stuff. Aegis, somewhat notable for Shipa.
I like this. I really like this in the face of specifically 2 things. Saris, because if you've got a shorter shield cooldown, you can block conversions potentially. And Grover, because it's not a personal shield, Grover will be useless against Fernando the more that shield is up.
Yes, Grover's distance scaling does not apply to shields like Fernando's. The deployable stuff is not his strong suit. Barik, he can't go to the objective and stand there quite as effectively as Terminus can. eLvenpath will have to slowly work his way in.
Well, look at this. Look at the target prioritization from Ninjas in Pyjamas right now. They recognize that eLvenpath is difficult to kill once the barricade is up. They focus on other people. Shipa is in the backline chasing down targets. Shock Pulse Disruption comes through, and Ninjas in Pyjamas rip apart Virtus.Pro to rise upwards of 50% in the first minute and a half.
And Virtus.Pro, they're the higher seed coming into this matchup. They chose Stonekeep, got 4-0'd, and now Ninjas in Pyjamas get to go to Frozen Guard, arguably one of their strongest maps. Not necessarily a pocket strat at this point, but something that they succeed, and they destroy Kanga on 4-0.
And Ninjas in Pyjamas don't have a way back in. The zoning from NIP, or excuse me, Virtus.Pro, they can't get back there. Ninjas in Pyjamas zone too well. They force all the exits to be closed, and now VP are trying to maybe amount some kind of defense. They've got the Grover distance scaling. This is where they should be able to do so, but Shipa's walking along with the shield up, just checking corners. Very defensive Fernando play that we're not used to seeing.
Aegis, the defensive legendary chosen for Fernando this game, drops the cooldown to just 8 seconds, as well as extends the duration to infinity. As long as you want to hold that shield up, it will remain up unless destroyed.
You can see why that was so valuable, as bonkar almost loses their life from a long-range Grover axe. PERDO as well, forced to flee. Shipa taking some focus fire. Talus tries to close the gap in the back line. Missed axe comes through, and the payload has been stalled out just because of the damage threat right now from Virtus.Pro. How do they try and hold here?
They have to hold here. Virtus.Pro have a better poke composition. Ninjas in Pyjamas, I was hoping they could keep this momentum right here, right now. If they lose this fight, it's going to be very difficult to break this long line of sight in this choke again, but they're off to a great start with taking down eLvenpath.
Shipa's low on health. Buck Wild, it's up and available. Bulk up can be used as well, but PERDO is already sitting at max max health, and it's about to reach the epicenter.
Wow.
Hello?
And again, quick round.
Is that keyboard on? There was ruckus coming in to contest at the end, but the rest of VP, they were all around the edge.
They were all around the edge. I don't think Sephicloud, he wanted to come in, and then he wanted to go vertical there, but it just didn't happen quick enough. He didn't get the healing, this, that, and the other. He ends up dying. PERDO with another flawless round, 6 kills, and another goose egg in the death column.
Virtus.Pro looked entirely unprepared for that, especially that last-minute defense. Baylord was inching further and further forwards, but where are the rest of the teammates ready to contest? Now, they do hold ultimates, which is important, but 2 members have been able to charge those. CogCog is not sitting on conversions. eLvenpath does not have Dome Shield. 2 massive objective control ultimates, which will not be available for this neutral capture point. And look at NIP. They are sitting on everything right now.
I can't stress enough that it feels like Ninjas in Pyjamas are just playing this so smart. It feels like they figured it out. Big Dread Serpent comes out. Box First Blood again goes to Bayesian Black.
Buck Wild comes out as well. We've got a Whirlwind to try and counter out some of that. Look at the Jukes though as well. Hexify forced to be cancelled because the damage threat out of NIP, and Shipa's pushing into the mouth of the enemy, locking off Grover, trapping this Ruckus. Fernando playing like a bully with their shield up. Nobody can get past it, and NIP is free to fire, well, for free behind it.
Amazing Dread Serpent, amazing Immortal, buying time, buying health, effective zoning as well. Shipa is playing amazing. Bird, Laizy, bonkar, Shipa, PERDO, they are all out of their minds right now. They will go up 3-0 and have the chance to go up 2-0 against the #1 seed in this tournament.
I tell you what, I expected this set, as Golden Boy would say, to be a slobber knocker of one earlier, but I did not expect this domination from NIP. Virtus.Pro are yet to get a single point on the board, and they've got to start picking up some momentum. This is a squad which, whilst they have been very collected during the PPL 4 finals, they were never playing when they were super, super down. And we know from history how momentum and how emotion-based eLvenpath's teams typically are.
I mean, if they end up falling down 4-0 here, that will not be good, of course, for their momentum. Shipa getting very aggressive here, but he's got to shield up more than usual now. Look at just the coordination, everyone behind Shipa, but Sephicloud and eLvenpath, they're looking to hold strong with a Dome Shield being dropped.
But that's Dome Shield baited out now. That cooldown is not available for defense, and there's only one more left through time and space. Does find one. isbittenner gets the Skadron. Will that be enough, Nick?
That is a lot. Unfortunately, they're Ninjas in Pyjamas. They get hit. The hard stop, the handbrake pulled, the young gun, the golden boy, isbittenner finding 2 critical kills for Virtus.Pro.
And that might have just been enough. Now, Ninjas in Pyjamas do have a lot of ultimates they can use to re-engage, and you kill the Skadron, they've got true power available straight back into the fight immediately if they want, but I like that NIP are holding back here. I do like that they're not going, as we just saw on screen, toe-to-toe just yet, but they are holding something in the tanks. They're waiting for a bit of poke, but look at these Grover axes right now. How do you push into that?
Man, this is the difference. Honestly, it might have to be Laizy finding poke off of barrack turrets. Last round, they were able to keep momentum through this area, but like I mentioned, this is going to be the most difficult area for them to break. Talus, true power's going in. A lot is being used defensively from Virtus.Pro to hold on.
Focus fire went on to PERDO, but PERDO did not go down. Out come the ultimates from NIP. Buckwild is available, bringing out the big guns though, says Sephicloud in the back line. Hexifire drops one. isbittenner finds PERDO as well, and that will take some steam away from Ninjas in Pyjamas. Virtus.Pro are holding on, but can Laizy do it? bonkar finds Sizze. Convergence, will it be enough? Here's the Immortal from NIP. Everybody stays alive, and Virtus.Pro are 4 against the world.
And now the respawn proximity advantage isn't going to be enough to bring them back. Bittener throws another ultimate out, but it won't connect. Laizy, low HP, Ghost Walk, Totem goes down, staying alive, just barely getting around the corner. bonkar falls again.
Here's Buck as well, looking to chew through their opposition. One more shot will do it, but Genos is too slippery. Overtime is here. Bird finds isbittenner, but the respawns for Virtus.Pro are coming through. And how do you displace eLvenpath up top with double turrets and a barricade and no Grok as well?
I just don't think that answer exists as they fall 1 by 1, 4 for 1. Virtus.Pro will defend successfully for the first time this series.
1 point out of 4 capture objectives so far.
1 point out of now 7 if you include game 1.
Goodness me, I am blown away by how down to the wire that was. CogCog here pulled out a big convergence. Look at also the Restore Soul coming through as well as the heal from Grover, just to try and keep everybody alive towards the end. That was by the skin of their teeth. Virtus.Pro not demonstrating the same ultimate management which we are used to out of them, but they forced a fair amount of NIP in the same sense, to be fair. So How are we looking? What's the balance like as we get ready for the next round?
Well, I'm watching the player cams of Virtus.Pro right now, and I'm noticing a lot of chatter coming out of eLvenpath. He's talking to his guys. He's getting them on the same page, and these high-end teams, the plan is laid out. They go into the round, and it's up to instincts to execute. Shipa first to the fight.
Shipa throws that shield up, getting burned through very quickly. Shipa might lose that life here. Should go down for first blood, but CogCog's receiving a lot of pressure, and PERDO finds Sephicloud from mid-range.
And now they're committing heavily to Shipa, but he gets the shield up again. Shipa has bought so much focus, so much attention. A lot of price has been paid, but the toll has not been exacted.
Oh, this is looking like it's over, Nick. This is game Grover here for Virtus.Pro. They have lost all of their members. It is 60% and climbing for NIP on the point, who are zoning so hard there is no way in. eLvenpath's Master Riding doesn't matter because he's been dismounted. PERDO is not going to let him through. Can anybody get there in time? I don't think so. 99, will it tick through? And NIP claim victory in map number 2.
And I mean, look at this, just more and more chatter. eLvenpath seems to have a definitive answer as to what went wrong. Ninjas in Pyjamas, they're sipping water. Bird's picking his nose. Bonkar looking like a ding-dong.
Trying to find the ring up there
as
somewhere.
per usual. And it's just business as usual for them. They don't look stressed. They don't have anything really to say. I think it all went according to plan.
And well, I talked a little bit to Bird as well about how you feeling about your team, how you feeling about your chats here in the PWC on stage yesterday before his interview.
Oh, he jumped it.
And he says, have you seen my team? I'm feeling good.
They're nuts.
They are nuts, indeed. And I think there was a lot of potential doubts about PERDO coming into this as well, who's really shown up. But bonkar, too, has become a track master on this Talus. A very scary champion to see this player on.
Whether it's the meta shifting or it's just Ninjas in Pyjamas shifting their strategy as a whole, Bonkar, MVP of last year's HRX Invitational, the Miracle sub, now main roster. Feels like he's getting back to his roots. He's playing the Shaolin, he's playing the Talus, he's playing things that could hard carry the game. A lot of Ninjas in Pyjamas, they're not afraid to pull out 3 DPS, they're not afraid to pull out, 3 supports, 2 supports, 3 tanks, 2 tanks, you name it. These guys can run it, they've seen it all, they've done it all, and it's just a matter of time before they figure out if you throw something new like Virtus.Pro did at them, it is just a matter of time.
It seems like the same old story. We've got this sort of 3-member core from HRX last year as well. And the interesting thing about this team is that they always took a couple of games, to figure out their opposition, to take the time to understand their playstyles. And it goes, okay, this is our answer. And then they roll. We've seen so many reverse sweeps come out of this core. And looking at the scoreboard from this game, the team damage is relatively even. Virtus.Pro were pumping out a lot, but objective control just wasn't there.
Obviously much closer this game, but on a lot of different areas. Objective time, of course. Ninjas in Pyjamas on the offense the whole time. That stat's going to be in their favor. And the credit spooling that goes along with sitting on said objective. Kevin, Laizy Jensen there, feeling good, and that is important. He's not sweating today, though it is objectively hotter in the expo hall today, and that just shows you, I think, how smooth these games are going for him, because he's a nervous guy. To get up there, to get a 4-0, get a 4-1 against the #1 seed, that's exactly what you need for your nervous superstar.
It's perfect for him in this situation. Ninjas in Pyjamas now, they have the ball in their court. Well, metaphorically, of course, because with that loss, it is now Virtus.Pro who choose the next map. They're in a very good situation here. Looking at VP, I just need to see the Barret go on at this point. I don't feel like it's having enough impact for me personally. Being honest with you, that is the one thing which is getting absolutely dismantled. The only exception being on defense, where I feel like that's a bit of a frozen guard cheese move, where you can sit in certain places up on high around the base and contest for free with so many body blocks in your way that nobody can take you down. That was the only saving grace right there for Virtus.Pro.
It's definitely a gear shift. Virtus.Pro normally, they put eLvenpath on Terminus, they'll put eLvenpath on Inara, and he does one thing and one thing only. He's going to go to the objective, and that's what Bird was specifically talking, and a couple of guys, they're realizing this. That is the one thing he does. That's the one place he likes to go. That's where he likes to sit. And while it was working, any sort of predictability can become an exploitable weakness used by your opponents if you just give them enough time and you keep doing the same thing over and over.
And I just don't feel like you can play that we're going to hold the point and just hold the point playstyle versus, of all teams, Ninjas in Pyjamas.
And not with Barrick.
They've got a roster made up of players that in the very, very early inception of Paladins esports defined the meta so distinctly by this sort of clear the area playstyle and then focus on the point. That was always how it used to be played. That was how it was in the Founders Tournament. You clear the area, then you stand on the point, and they're happy as long as capture boost isn't active to let eLvenpath just sit on the point whilst the rest of his team dies around him.
And this is such valuable information, I think, to the rest of the players sitting in the expo hall watching these games. Virtus.Pro has been the trendsetter as of late. You could see maybe laying out a new plan with his team now. isbittenner, no smiles from him, which is very uncharacteristic.
And no sweat on Laizy's brow either, as you mentioned earlier. Kevin Jensen on screen right there, but
which
we are
is
ready.
very uncharacteristic.
It is, and I'm excited to see it. It means that NIP is sitting pretty for this game number 3. As we saw earlier, it is Serpent Beach, the destination, the nighttime map, the escape across the Temple Isle aesthetic. Are you looking forward to this?
So still no Bomb King, but for Virtus.Pro,
Fernando
no
ban.
Simsilo.
This is
Can
very
you
true.
take it? You
Can
talk
Sizze
about
pull it
Sizze
out?
a lot. You see this guy. What do you think about his Bomb King?
Does have a Bomb King. I don't know if it's the same caliber as Simslu, but if you need something to break up a point fight, there's no better champion. But Virtus.Pro is sticking with the generous prioritization after batting away Fernando, leave Buck open. They leave so much on the board for NIP, who can very easily here snap that up again as they've done 2 games in a row.
Ruckus as well. Potential takeaway here for Ninjas in Pyjamas. That's what they did earlier in game number 1, but it will be the Torvald left open for once, and it will be scooped up. Hovered right now, being decided on, and it will lock in. Virtus.Pro now will get their golden combination of Genos and Ruckus.
And I fully expect the Ruckus to be locked in, but here's the Bomb King as well. That does come through, and I think that's a necessary pick at this point. It provides, especially with chain reaction, the kill potential that you may need to one-shot a bulk up Buck, as opposed to just chipping them down over distance. And there's the Ruckus as well, and Ruckus has a very good history at dealing with Torvald. Torvald just can't outbox a Ruckus when they're in a 1v1 situation, and so often Torvald is taking free fire on the objective.
And this is a big shift for Virtus.Pro. Another shift, if you will, because these 2 previous games, they haven't had damage. They haven't had any flankers. This is a big difference for them. They're going to have so much more burst in their draft, in their comp.
Oh.
And Ninjas in Pyjamas, I think they just need to be ready for it.
I'm excited for this.
I don't know, man. Inara's good enough on this map that taking away Terminus, does that feel like the play?
It's interesting, right? And I feel that some of the value here is coming from 2 things. It's Reanimate and it's Power Siphon specifically that may give Terminus an advantage here over Inara. The problem is, if Inara's not running Mother's Grace and she's not got her Earthen Guard active, Bomb King can just happily sit there and stick sticky bombs to you all day, and because the point is so open on Serpent Beach and you can have Bomb King up on the high ground, just flinging down bombs towards Inara, she'll take a lot of free damage. Healing will be prioritized onto her, maybe not onto the Torvald instead, and Virtus.Pro can sort of chip down other members and draw a lot of focus in different directions. So Terminus with their Power Siphon should be able to block some of that. Inara in response over to Virtus.Pro. What will the last pick be?
And it will be Pip hovered, but will it be locked? A lot of question marks in this draft for Virtus.Pro with the lack of Simsilo at this land. Will Sizze be playing Pip, or will he be playing Bomb King? My money's on Bomb King, because I believe we saw CogCog on the Pip yesterday.
You think that isbittenner will still stick on Genos at this point?
Absolutely.
Their
I
frag
think
superstar?
isbittenner, it's still highly, if it's first pick, if it's last pick, it's probably for isbittenner. The reason it has been worked into the Virtus.Pro draft is because of this kid. He loves it so much. He loves working with it. And you gotta say, I mean, he loved Grover. Things that isbittenner likes
Tend to do
tend
well.
to come into the meta and do well. And you gotta ask yourself,
Funny that.
is it the player? Is it the champion? Is it both?
Which is dictating which? Which comes first?
I don't know. Genos is nuts,
Genos is pretty nuts right now.
in my opinion.
Drogo is the last pick for NIP. This is an interesting one to round things out with, and it's something which I like specifically. Pip has a difficult time dealing with them. There's not much hit scan pressure on Virtus.Pro to be able to take them down. There's no Buck to chase them around the map, and the value of Dragon Punch, especially versus Inara, has not been, I don't think, understated this tournament so far.
I will say, all else equal, I like that Virtus.Pro are just changing what they're doing
Very much so. It's different.
pretty significantly every single game. They're not leaving this tournament if they lose here. This is their first loss, if it even happens. You know, there could be the reverse sweep. However, this is the best of 5. 1 victory stands between Ninjas in Pyjamas in the winners finals.
Will this be a day of sweeps, or will we see some resistance? It's all up to Virtus.Pro with their back against the wall to make their stand here. And as you see, and as you said, CogCog is still on the Mega Potion Pip. eLvenpath with Mother's Grace and Nara. Wormjet Strogos for Laizy here. That's an interesting one. And let's get straight down to business. It's up to the high ground they go. Laizy is looking for a flank. Firespit comes down. Nobody sees it. The salvo rains down Hellfire. But no kills just yet.
I'm going to be honest, that's a little early for me. That Firespit could have exploded much closer to the ground. That's a little bit of land nerves for me. Laizy, he almost invented that combo. He made it a really pronounced part of the Drogos combination of the big flank at the start, where they're all predictable. High ground is essentially where almost every team will fight over. Ninjas Pyjamas, early capture control, 42 to 18%, but first blood still yet to be drawn.
I feel like we've got to start naming some of these moves after players. We'll call that the Laizy split. When you poppy bomb during King Bomb off the map on Serpent Beach, that's a Simsalo.
Well, we've got the Fishko Flutter.
We certainly do as
Where
well.
he flutters straight into the fidget spinner.
We got Ninjas in Pyjamas getting 66% on point control as well. eLvenpath is trying to contest, and it's getting a lot of support from Pip. At last, first blood comes through. 1 minute and 50 seconds in, and it's Sizze who picks it up, gets a nice spot heal. Laizy is distracting around the back. NIP back away from the objective. It's time for eLvenpath to take over, and so far nobody's been displacing CogCog, and CogCog's been putting out a lot of healing.
Heals are coming out from Sizze and the boys. 72% long shot. Attacks from Bird are coming in. They're not exactly finding their way home right now. 72 to 72, all tied up. Vert advantage. Moving back to Virtus.Pro.
Laizy's been spotted out. You've got to be careful here. In comes Terminus to contest. PERDO to the high ground, tries to force out CogCog. Big spot heal onto eLvenpath. Out comes Dread Serpent straight onto Sephicloud. CogCog, though, has the evil mojo ready. There are two players grouped up. Could it come down? Through time and space, the stun. Oh my god, it's decimation. PERDO activates Buck Wall, but it just doesn't matter. Dragon Punch shot out of the air by isbittenner. And oh my goodness, Ninjas in Pyjamas are starting to crumble. There's the reanimate. Will it be enough? No kills have been achieved. And how long can bonkar buy time for their team?
It's just a matter of Bird, and he is not going to be long for this world. He falls to Sizze. Overtime ticking out once again. Somehow bonkar's still alive. The back line of Ninjas in Pyjamas have returned, but it's just not enough. This is going to be extremely difficult and near miracle for them to take back, and they don't get it done.
Impasse placement towards the end there from eLvenpath was beautiful. Didn't lock enemies on Ninjas in Pyjamas out of the area, just away from the capture objective for long enough to get the cap. That is so important, and now Virtus.Pro are starting to look back on form, and they've got ultimates to their name. Will they choose to use them is the question.
Ultimates were the name of the game for Virtus.Pro there. They came in clutch. In previous games, Ninjas in Pyjamas captured so quickly that ultimates just weren't a factor through the first round, but that was not the case. In the superior ultimate usage, you have to give it to Virtus.Pro. Bitner's time and space landing, the evil mojo landing, everything finding a home and value in one of the Bayesian back players.
CogCog as well, finding a lot of value out of this pit, making good use of mobility with, as you saw there, weightless and wall jump specifically to gain some extra jump height, but salvo from Laizy will send the Velpine back to base, and now Virtus.Pro are down a member. They must retreat here, and they're going to buy some time for NIP.
If you
defense.
blink, you're going to miss something amazing from Ninjas in Pyjamas. Bonkar, he's holding his power siphon out that door. He has no idea Laizy, well, he has an idea, but he can't see Laizy up there. That is just pure communication between those two, allowing Laizy to get off this combo safely from mid-air, take down Pip against the wall, and Bonkar, he's going to make that play for him every time.
Oh, Sizze though lands a double stick on the PERDO. A bit of a trap kill comes through. Sephicloud tries to get to the high ground, will force over. Meets a Drogos. Laizy doesn't have Fuselaut or anything. Probably can't box out the Ruckus too easily, but actually ends up doing so and buys space for NIP on defense. Respawn from PERDO starts to come through. 48 seconds left. The payload is 66%, almost at 75% of the way through now. How did Virtus.Pro break this defense?
Maybe with Sephicloud up here on the high ground. Buck's going to get his Torvald shield, go to work on the King. But we don't call him that for nothing. Sizze wins that 1v1.
CogCog could be caught out here. Firespit salvo doesn't actually connect. Laizy does try to get the box, but no 1v2 does end up falling. And back, retreat all of NIP. Backs against the wall. Virtus.Pro, I don't think so. Now it's Ninjas in Pyjamas that have to fight for their lives to try and hold this one down. All 10 ultimates are on the board. The payload about to push its way through. Terminus void gripped in the air. That was a beautiful play from isbittenner. And the payload will roll on through.
That'll do it. Virtus.Pro, not only with their first offense, but of course their first conversion. As a result, those two go hand in hand. There's the big Bittner slamming home that snipe. Evil Mojo in hand. Heals going out. Damage as well. Taking out Laizy midair. That was a big moment. The Hexafire, if that gets shut down, Laizy gets that frag. He probably still dies anyway to Bittner, but taking down Sephicloud, we know how critical that is to being able to defeat Virtus.Pro.
On your screens right now, a little bit of a smile sneaking out there is isbittenner, starting to pull themselves back into this set. Virtus.Pro should be feeling confident after that, and they've got a bit more wiggle room to play with. Now, Ninjas in Pyjamas do have capture boost. They have the ability to quickly get a lot of cap with bonkar, but will it be enough?
Sizze, we questioned it. I questioned it at least. 8-0 through the first round. The substitute for Simsilo has shown up big for the boys in orange and black.
Dragon Punch, Hyper Beam come through. Laizy hasn't found anybody. Mid-air detonation from King Bomb does come out. Sizze yet to fall, as you mentioned, landing plenty of sticks, and a Grumpy Bomb out as well. Dread Serpent from Ninjas in Pyjamas that locks them down. Sizze tries to stay alive, but does so successfully. It even slays bonkar. This Bomb King is taking control of the objective. Nice through time and space as well. Brings Terminus to half health already, and Virtus.Pro are dominating here on the objective.
bonkar gets virtually nothing done that point. Expends his ultimate as well, only to eat a through time and space the second he returns to the battlefield, putting him at about half HP, a little bit under. He tried to push into Sizze, and again, they fell short. It's a really close objective here. eLvenpath crashes through seismically.
Big stun onto PERDO. The Unyielding goes down. Grumpy Bomb provides some zone, and overtime is ticking. Dragon Punch is here. Ninjas in Pyjamas engage. Sephicloud down. Sizze down. This could be the beginning of a retake, and it's 74%, 78% for Ninjas in Pyjamas. If they can just zone for a moment, they will get the capture. And Laizy rains down a salvo to try and block everybody up. eLvenpath can't get there. NIP make the comeback somehow.
Living on what felt like a prayer. bonkar, he comes back. He makes the impact double kill for him. Laizy and the guys moving around. You got to thank bonkar for contesting. You got to thank Bird and all those guys. They just make it happen when it seems unlikely. Now they'll have their chance to tie things up with Virtus.Pro, but it is a long road to do so.
So often as well, we see this Dragon Punch prioritized onto the Inara, the safer target, the higher health and harder to kill target than Ruckus. Prioritization from Laizy on a Sephicloud, I feel, was very important in that last fight. Be able to break open the defense and make sure that that damage threat from the high ground wasn't there.
To be honest, Dragon Punch is quickly becoming one of the harder ultimates to connect with and stay alive afterward. We'll have to get to that in a moment. Two Evil Mojos come out. They will both be slain, but bonkar does bring one with him.
Slight trade, but with 1 minute and 30 left on the clock, NIP are in no real situation where they want to expend the reanimate. They can just afford to regroup and maybe poke out somebody who overextends on Virtus.Pro to be able to hold this high ground maybe. If Virtus.Pro step a foot or a toe too far, then his Pyjamas can open up the fight, but Sephicloud very much knows this. And oh my goodness, Sizze clamps Bird in a bad spot, ends their life with Grumpy Bomb, and sends them back packing.
Bombs coming out from Sizze here on the high ground. One more will do it, and Buck will escape with his life. Torvald bubble to think for that. 58 on the clock. A King Bomb, a through time and space, a Hexafire, and nearly a seismic crash versus whatever the hell Ninjas in Pyjamas feel like throwing out, because they've got it all.
NIP are sitting, waiting and ready. To the high ground goes Laizy. Up jumps in Buck. PERDO tries to land the hammer home, and Buck is now in a very formidable situation. It has been spotted out by Sephicloud. Good positioning response from VP, but look at the health bars on the top side of your screen. Ruckus gets a spot heal, and that'll even things up for the moment. bonkar in a bit of trouble as well, gets brought very, very low and must retreat. Ninjas in Pyjamas can't gain too much ground here.
Ooh, could go for the flank. He's thinking about it. I believe this is Mutastina's route that he made popular. That guy actually moves around the map very well. Salvo from a distance is good for one. Ninjas in Pyjamas have already found two.
Two, and then make that a third. bonkar slays eLvenpath. Looking to hit this one home. It's just CogCog. It's just Sephicloud, and Ninjas in Pyjamas are able to push through. No contest. Virtus.Pro just hold themselves back, and it's an even game.
And again, that's what they're comfortable doing. Virtus.Pro, while they haven't been on the front foot much this set, they are going to defensively elect to hold their ultimates. They want to save them for these point fights. Those are what's most important to them. The credits you gain, just the opportunity to close the game out at a moment's notice. Sizze, he's the substitute for Simsilo. I had a lot of questions for this guy. I'd never seen him play before outside of ESLs and EU PGSs, coming off of Team Cryptic. of that series. Had a lot of questions about his Bomb King. He goes deathless through the first round, and honestly, far from the weakest link on this Virtus.Pro roster.
Feels like the make or break situation. Getting a Haven 2 online will make them very survivable here. Record 2 as well to break through some shields. Ninjas in Pyjamas, though, have got a lot of cauterize online, trying to make sure that eLvenpath does end up dying.
Couple of bombs missing for Sizze, and we're hearing the Dragon's Fury. Is he going to
bomb.
connect on anything? He's chasing Laizy around the corner, low HP. Laizy finds one, gets traded out. Sizze, he calls it up, but no! PERDO threads the needle and takes him down.
Shotgun slug hammers on home. Bonkar has found 2 kills of their own, and Terminus with the Massacre Axe says that this objective is mine. It's 45% and rising for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Virtus.Pro need to find a way back in, but they've only got 3% on cap. And PERDO is already forcing the high ground here with that mobility as buck to make sure nobody can close the gap.
I think smart ultimate uses from Ninjas in Pyjamas here. They've got plenty left box. A lot are hitting the board.
It's Virtus.Pro who try and get back in, get back to the objective. Ninjas in Pyjamas take the high ground here, and they do have Laizy up there who is trying to engage. A little bit anticlimactic there, as where was Virtus.Pro's engagement? They had the ults to do so, and they're going to use them now as Seismic Crash and Through Time and Space hit home. Find one, but will it be enough?
Laizy, you can't afford to be disengaged for long. To the high ground he goes, salvo loose. Fire Spit doesn't claim Bittener's life. It'll knock him up to the air. Laizy does not confirm the kill. bonkar will reanimate on the point. Bittener will take him down.
But Sephicloud is still here and trying to box out. The spot healing comes through from CogCog. The damage comes down, and eLvenpath returns to the fight. But it's all looking red on the scoreboard, and eLvenpath gets fragged down. Ninjas in Pyjamas capture. It is 3-2 at 12 minutes and 20. This is looking like their game to lose.
Nip just with the absolute strength right now. There is nothing Virtus.Pro can throw at them that they can't handle. Nip got it done with so few ultimates, just 2 expended. And again, they had to use them smart, and they did. The counter engage after Virtus.Pro came in swinging for the takeback just did not find footing.
Now, this is not an elimination match. If Virtus.Pro lose out here, they do go through to the losers bracket. But you can bet that they don't want to go down too early. How do Virtus.Pro hold on? How do they make the defense here and keep themselves in the fight?
They're not comfortable. Hyper Beam did not claim any lives. Shipa lost his. Laizy's not in a good spot. Launching. Nice flick shot from CogCog. This support can frag.
That might just be the answer. It's taking down those high priority targets, the high value fraggers that we know as the namesakes of Ninjas in Pyjamas. Laizy, PERDO, making sure that they don't get into the enemy backline, they don't get into Virtus.Pro's backline, I should say, and start just having their way here. Positional control will be important. Sizze not making it up top will actually be a big detriment here.
Not a big deal, but obviously would like to get home on the first try. One bomb connects onto Laizy. He gets an immediate heal. Top back off. Laizy wants to take this fight, but Luminary Genos has other plans as 1,000 damage bombs rain through onto Drogos, forcing him away. Sephicloud with some beautiful positioning over the heads of Ninjas in Pyjamas. They have to find some type of response to make him give up that spot.
Missiles hit home, and funnily enough, you know, Sizze not being on the high ground actually allowed them to see Laizy down low, trying to force their way through, not take any damage, and box them out. And that's meant that a lot of capture time has been elapsed. It's 45 seconds to go, but eLvenpath is being focused. bonkar has their name written on their axe. Through Time and Space connects, but not enough damage there. bonkar stays alive. Sizze under fire. This could be the beginning of the end as PERDO stays alive.
Can't stress how important that is enough. bonkar and PERDO are both alive at the moment. Salvo runs into the back of Sephicloud's head. He's running out of options to sustain himself. The self-shield already used. CogCog, can he do it again? He eats a big fire spit, thrust in one. He'll go up to the high ground, but Laizy maybe more than he bargained for as CogCog's already topped himself off.
10 seconds to go. Evil Mojo is ready, and Ninjas in Pyjamas are being brought lower and lower. PERDO has fallen on Buck, but now down goes CogCog. Bird is retreating, beginning to give this one up. Will NIP make it to the objective? I don't think so. Capture ticks over, defense successful. Virtus.Pro, they're still in this game.
I don't know how they didn't finish that round. That felt all but complete there. Only one ultimate not available. Virtus.Pro slightly breaking form, using Through Time and Space on the objective. This was massive. Coming back to claim what was once unclaimed by his teammate. Double kill. Big plays from PERDO to keep that round alive. Of course, he's had himself a hell of a day.
7-0 win-loss record so far in games during this championship tournament. That's a very impressive record, and Ninjas in Pyjamas don't want to put a dent on that. Don't want to have one of those little ones sitting in the right-hand column, and with PERDO sitting at 6-10 and 10 on Buck this time around, that might just actually happen. not
16
performing
and
quite
6.
as well.
Sizze still doing a good job. He went from 8-0 to 16 and 6, so a lot more deaths, but still getting, or keeping pace rather, with his previous kill rate.
Look at the zoning this time from Virtus.Pro coming through. Dragon Punch, though, tries to start things off. A kill on the eLvenpath. Can somebody claim
Live,
Laizy's
kid,
life?
live.
CogCog goes down. Laizy stays alive. And will that be enough as it's 57% and climbing for Ninjas in Pyjamas?
This is getting pretty dire for Virtus.Pro. Still 2 ultimates, almost 3. Shipa is not far off, has to get on the objective. Sephicloud gets feared immediately. They're committing big to him, but they can't take him.
And PERDO stays alive. That was Evil Mojo being there, used there as well. Hexafire comes through. Terminus reanimates and Shipa blows everybody away. It's eLvenpath to contest. Overtime is ticking. Isbittenner finds Shipa though, and that might just be the comeback they need.
eLvenpath, how long can you survive against your husband, bonkar? He throws up the hand. How much longer can he sustain? He gets out. bonkar with a clean disengage. 99% for Ninjas in Pyjamas, still fighting.
Has their number, but no. CogCog gets fragged out. PERDO jumps back in, but Sephicloud holds the objective, and Sizze is now up top. This is perfect positioning for Bomb King, but Virtus.Pro have to hold on. 1 tick, 1% on the point will mean it's all over, and Laizy's back to frag.
Damage is coming out. This man plays at 1600 DPI. You can see it in his play, in his flicks. Massacre axe on the objective. It is so much. eLvenpath has fallen. Virtus.Pro, can they sustain any longer?
Sizze is still here. Down goes Laizy. Overtime is ticking, but no! Just a foot away. NIP 3-0, the leading team in this tournament, and send them into the losers bracket.
Those boys popped off like they just won the finals because they know what this means. Top seed coming into this tournament, but all smiles exchanged on the stage between old teammates. eLvenpath, Shipa about to shake hands, hearts beating, hands shaking. But of course, they still hitting them headshots.
And such an impressive performance from Ninjas in Pyjamas here, you know, coming out of the PPL full finals when they placed up against Virtus.Pro, when they were looking like they just didn't have answers to the matter, and now coming around, this is a completely different team. You know, I've been asking behind the scenes, what has Navi's bootcamp been feeding their players? Got to ask the same thing for NIP.
It's just preparation. These guys, they play against each other, they scrim against each other. This region breeds excellence. 4 representatives at this event. And you know that means all of those strategies have to be explored, as well as the fact this is played on OB63. The game state has been relatively stable for months now. These guys have had every opportunity to explore just about every single option, champion, legendary, loadout card, item, strategy that could possibly be thought of.
And that's why we really said don't say meta when we came into this event, because nobody knows what it is. Virtus.Pro looked like they were dictating things with, of course, their triple support. But no, towards the end of that, NIP even pulled out the eLvenpath strats against them, ended up using Terminus on Serpent Beach, and we can see that, my goodness, it was a pretty incredible performance and an incredible run from them. A well-deserved victory.
I mean, what a player, what a play he was making to be able to switch from those flanker styles, all that damage he was bringing, to shift onto one of the harder front lines to pull off and to do it with such grace.
And that will be the end of the set from us here on the commentary stage. Let's head back over to Golden Boy and our analyst to see exactly what they thought of this premiere matchup.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, and congratulations to NIP. A hard-fought victory will lead to a 3-0 sweep. It's been basically just sweeps all day. I feel like we're about to make some TV shows or something like that. Welcome back to the Alienware Analyst Desk, folks. I'm Golden Boy, Meta Pusher, Gormizer. You know their faces. You love them. So let's talk about this game because, I mean, really, we thought that we were going to see that NIP 3 support strat, and we were not let down. That actually happened. It came out, or excuse me, VP, but NIP were ready for it.
And I think that was one of the big things. It wasn't even a big, like, hey, we're counterpicking you, we're trying to do this. It was just really solid target acquisition the entire time, being able to kind of go forward with it. They just made sure they could continue pushing down the proper targets. Like, they made sure they were focusing early on. They were looking towards the Ruckus. They were just making sure that he wasn't going to have that impact, but he wasn't going to be able to keep himself shielded, do the damage that you would normally see out of the Ruckus, and he wasn't getting enough heals.
Yeah, I mean, the big story for me throughout the set was PERDO on that bug. He played it 3 games, and he looked absolutely dominant. I mean, 15-0 and 13. That is an absolutely insane scoreline when we're talking about the fact that they're playing against one of the best teams in the world in Virtus.Pro.
Yeah, and I did get word that we have one of our Sennheiser Call of the Days. I didn't get to hear who it was exactly, but I just want to see who it was anyway. So let's go ahead and take a listen to it real quickly.
I can't touch. Go, 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 kill the bug, bug one. Bug dead, I'm dead. Krakas ult. Krakas, you have ultimate. Good job, regroup. Dorman's one. Dorman's dead, good job.
And there you heard the Sennheiser Call of the Day. That was eLvenpath and that communication coming through there, right? But, you know, despite the best efforts, it simply just was not enough. And NIP just continued to march on through victory after victory. But that Serpent Beach game was very interesting because there were a lot of different looks that they had given us. We got to see Sizze on the Bomb King, instead of him playing, which I believe he was playing supports for the most part. So I think, and here's the thing, he performed very well, right? He was getting a lot of kills. He was really getting in their face. But then PERDO, I mean, this man is a savage. I love watching him play some Paladins, man. It's incredible. Meta, what are your thoughts?
I mean, I thought VP did a very good job at adjusting in the draft phase to what NIP had thrown in the first two games. I really thought the Aegis Fernando was what really threw VP off on that Frozen Guard match. And then they come out in game 3, they ban it, and then they pick up, you know, a damage, the Ruckus, Inara. I like that they were able to adjust with the Fernando, but also get away from that Barrack. You know, he does have some good points, but it kind of seemed like in game 2 they were kind of sticking to their stubborn ways and sticking with it. And they adjusted in game 3, and it was much closer. I would have liked to see them do that earlier on in the set.
Yeah. And you could see the impact of the Buckhead because he was not doing well. He had a negative slash line, but you can't just look at the kills he was able to get out of. Damage was the big number. He had 121,000 player damage, and that's never a number you want to see when you are on the opposing team, because you know he is not only getting in your backline, he is wrecking you. Even though he's not the one who's cleaning it all up, it's setting up the rest of the team or it's pushing you back, and that's where NIP were just showing that dominant control. There were several times, even that last point, they got it up to 99%. VP have their ults. They just waited really long to get in there and use them.
Did it feel like, well, I mean, I think it was pretty evident because they didn't go with it, but the Barrack, like, just committing to that, you had mentioned it before, really did hurt them there. Was it really just the desire to just stick with this strategy because it worked before? It just felt weird that, like, a team as practiced as VP didn't think about, I guess, changing it up going into game 2.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Barrack has merits. They really needed a shield breaker, and Tinker and Barrack can kind of fill that role. He's able to do pretty solid burst damage. When you build Wrecker, he can burst down shields quickly, but he just wasn't able to hold ground against the Ruckus and the Fernando. And I mean, the Buck that we saw every game was just so dominant. He's able to just jump onto the Barrack and just blow his face off.
So NIP, are they the real deal? Is this? I mean, I had them going all the way.
I mean, they are very mechanically solid. That's one of the things I was saying during this last set, was just watching them. I was like, I like that there's a little bit of draft play coming down, but a lot of what's happening in game is just NIP showing the fact that they are very mechanically good players.
Yeah. I really like the way NIP is played, and we've seen a lot of very high success from the two scrim partners, NIP, Navi. Those two have both been playing absolutely insane this event, and I mean, we'll see Navi next. They could be meeting up very soon.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that one. I believe we have the bracket as well. When we get a chance, we could probably bring that up in just a second here. Get you guys up to date on what's been going on. I mean, the matches today have been awesome. Yeah, despite them being 3-0s and some sweeps, we've still learned so much about high-level Paladins here. So the bracket starts to fill out now, folks. Virtus.Pro will await the winner of Nocturnes Gaming and Kenga Esports. That game will take place tomorrow, but NIP will move on with the high seed going into that championship bracket. So the road for NIP continues to be paved with gold as they manage to succeed time and time again. They started from the bottom. Now they're here. I know that was a terrible, terrible pun, and I will own that up. But they literally did.
They haven't lost a map yet.
Oh, have they not?
No.
Oh, crap.
Clean sweeps.
Yeah.
That's actually pretty dope. I didn't know that. I got to look through my notes.
Days long.
Okay, so I made a terrible joke, and I know that probably children in the chat are typing cringe because they don't have social skills. So because of that, I'm going to go ahead and end this segment here. And we're going to send it over to the stage. A man who has plenty of social skills. It's the one and only Rain Day. Take it away, my friend.
Thank you, Alex. We're here with Laizy from NIP, the winners of that last set, finally becoming the first semifinalists here in this Paladins World Championship 2018. It was a tough road, but not really. You guys seemed pretty dominant throughout that entire game.
Yeah, coming up to the game, we were kind of scared of VP because of our last result against them. But hearing that Simsilo couldn't make it and they had a sub, it made it way easier than we expected. I mean, we had some nerves in the beginning, but it kind of like disappeared after the first game because we knew they had some kind of like weird stuff they want to do, like free healers. And compared to Kanga, I must admit, Kanga did it better.
Wow, so Kanga did it better. I'm sure Josh Kent takes that praise in all areas of his life, and he's going to try to apply that there. But really the key for you guys has been that you have looked on, and especially yourself. We were commenting on the sweat on your brow a little bit in the first matchup, but you got that first win, you got the second, you got the third. Now there's 2 sets under your belt, and you guys are in the semifinals. I mean, how do you feel personally knowing that land nerves have been something you've been plagued with in the past?
Wait, sorry, what?
Knowing that, you usually get nervous.
Yeah.
How does it feel having this confidence in the way that you've played this tournament going into the semifinals?
Oh, this time there's a lot more confidence coming into the game. Lately, I haven't been that nervous, especially also coming into the VP game. There was something in the beginning, but it disappeared instantly compared to the other tournaments that we've been playing.
So, I mean, really break it down, too, for the fans. What do you think is separating you guys right now? I know a lot of us are still trying to get our grasp on the meta, what really works, what doesn't. So many different regions are trying a lot of different things. You seem to be going up against a lot of weird stuff. Do you think it's just your ability to handle that weird stuff, or is it something that you guys are bringing to the table that's being the difference maker?
Well, so again, going back to the last LAN, VP were kind of known to be the team that actually picks, like, weird stuff. And after that LAN, EU decided to play more weird stuff against each other, so we wouldn't fall for that stuff again.
Is the EU matchup at this point something you kind of dread facing at this point? Would you rather play another region because you guys know each other so well in Europe?
Honestly, I don't know.
Well, it's something that I think you should consider as you may end up facing one of those rivals again. Heading into this next matchup, though, of course, we've got G2 coming through with Na'Vi. Na'Vi looking very good on the weekend, and they placed off third. You guys beat them second in the PPL. How do you feel about Na'Vi and how they're looking in this tournament?
I think Na'Vi is currently the strongest team that will be the toughest match if we meet them in the finals. And I'm also pretty sure that Na'Vi can get that far this time.
Do you think G2 have a chance? I mean, they are the only North American representative. We are in Atlanta. They're going to have some fans here.
No.
Okay, that was pretty dismal. Laizy. All right, we're going to move on from that. Laizy, Kevin Jensen here from NIP. He's the guy with the victory. Congratulations on getting to the semifinals and all of NIP. We're going to throw it to a quick break. We'll be right back with more Paladins action.
So many years has gone by, but I think about you all the time. Looks like you're changing and all, but why didn't you call? Something in the air, always something in the air. Inexplicable, I can feel it in the air. Can you feel me? Can you feel me? Can you feel me? Do you miss me at all? Do you think about the things we used to do? No, you couldn't stand tall. So why didn't you call? So many years has gone by, but I think about you all the time. Looks like you're changing and all.